Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to episode 133 of the Story Stream. But it's been a long time since I last saw you. The last time I was on was last Monday, which makes this almost a full 2 weeks since we've been together. How are you? Wherever you are, I hope you're doing really, really well. As for me, I'm doing well myself, and actually I'm very excited to be back, and I'm really looking forward to starting today's story, to continuing today's story, which I have over here. Episode 132, when we met Joe Cabbage. Hey, did you see that guy? I like that drawing. Yes, we're going to continue the Joe Cabbage story in a minute, but what else do I have to say? It's nice at the start of these episodes to catch up with you a little. You may notice, I'm wearing a pin today. This is a pin I made myself from an illustration I cut out of a James Marshall book, Pocket Full of Nonsense. It's a mouse reading a hymn book. Or maybe a her book. I also have here a tube of glue. It's a brand new tube of glue, and I'm very excited about this. It's a type of rubber cement, and I was using it to put together those pop-up pages I was showing you a few weeks ago. I haven't worked on them since then, but I'd like to get back to that and make something. Anything else? We have Shasta and Sprite coming for a visit. Sprite, as you know, is a kitten, and kittens grow quickly, and Sprite, you'll probably notice, is a lot bigger than the last time you saw him. In a minute, Sprite will probably be jumping up on this table to get into my things. So shall we do it? Let's get on with today's story. I also have a new haircut, which I'm enjoying. All in all, a wonderful Friday, October 15th. And here was where we last were. We pulled the words door, cabbage, accept, and calm. Because of cabbage, we thought we'd go to Food City and see our good old friend Joe Cabbage. And we had the idea that maybe he would have trouble accepting a package. But I'll tell you, I don't feel very nuts for that idea. I remember when we left it, I felt a little like Joe's not the type of character to suffer those anxieties. But you know what? Let's read our story and see where we left off. Joe Cabbage lived in the Ginger Root apartment building. Every morning, he would walk down from his room and out the front door. He would stand on the top step, put on his hat, take a deep breath, and say to himself, "What good thing can I do today?" Joe Cabbage was one of the kindest people in Food City. His restaurant, Joe Cabbage's Bakery, gave food to the town, and Joe himself gave a lot of his time and energy. Every year he hosted a cake competition and made all of the prizes by hand. He created Chicken Story Time, an event where he would read stories to Alice Pear's chickens. He did these during thunderstorms when Alice's chickens were the most upset. I needed help here. There was no doubt about it. Joe Cabbage did a lot of good for his community. He never did these things with the thought of a reward. He did them because that was just how Joe Cabbage was, which is why it was such a surprise that morning when he found a package outside his front door. The package was wrapped in brown paper and tied up with twine. A note attached read, "For Joe Cabbage, for all your hard work." The note wasn't signed. To be continued. We'll find out Wednesday. Turns out we're finding out on Friday. Okay, so what do we have here? We have Joe Cabbage receiving a mysterious package, and I'll tell you, Joe strikes me as a kind of guy who, if he received a package on his front step, he would open it excitedly. He's not going to suffer any weird feelings about whether or not he deserves a present. So I don't really like that part of it. The other part is this. I'm setting up a story where, people might do things for rewards and give prizes to each other for rewards, and that's not the kind of world I imagine Food City to be. Food City is my utopia. It's what I like to pretend would be a perfect world. And in a perfect world, I think these things would just happen. So I don't like that. I think what I'm going to do is this. We're going to take the story in a new direction. But first I'll need a pencil. And a pencil extender. Here we go. Oh, I do love this part. Joe Cabbage lived in the Ginger Root apartment building. Every morning he would walk down from his room and out the front door. He would stand on the top step, put on his hat, take a deep breath, and say to himself, what fun things, will happen today? Sprite, this is a pencil. Let's see if we can you hear his sniffing? He would stand on the top step, put on his hat, take a deep breath, and say to himself, what fun things will happen today? We are going to take all these pages out. You'll have to excuse me, I'm being distracted by this kitten, who is, I think I need to let him get this out of his system. He should be done any minute. Nope, he's making himself at home. Hey, let's do this. Let's pretend I'm painting a tail. Isn't that the most realistic tail you've ever seen? Ah, lovely. Yep, looks just like a real cat's tail. All right, Goober, let's get you out of here. You could sit next to me there. That'd be a nice perch for Sprite. Okay, where were we? He would stand on the top step, put on his hat, take a deep breath, and say to himself, what fun things will happen today? Next door to Joe Cabbage lived... Okay, I do need your help. I asked someone online for some help in naming an apple, and this marvelous young person said Frimblepants Apple, which I thought was a great name and which I was prepared to use eventually, maybe even today. But I found out that Frimblepants is the name of a unicorn in a series of books called Princess in Black. So I don't know if I want to use that name, but I do like Frimblepants. An FR name, Franklin maybe? Next door to Joe Cabbage lived Franklin Apple. Franklin Apple would, what does Joe Cabbage do? Walk down from his apartment. Franklin Apple would leave his apartment put on his shoes, Franklin Apple would leave his apartment, walk down the stairs, put on his shoes, and say, What terrible things are out there today? These are the front steps of the Ginger Root Apartments, and let's draw our friend. We haven't met any pessimists in Food City yet, but I think we've just met our first. I don't know, maybe we should call this guy Frimblepants. That seems like the perfect name for him. So this is turning out to be a Franklin Apple story, not a Joe Cabbage story. Well, it could be both. Franklin Apple was a pessimist. You know, if we are stuck on keeping our words, door, accept, and calm, we could maybe fit in there that Franklin Apple should learn to accept that good things can happen. What do we think about Franklin here? I like this guy. Where Franklin Apple walked, a dark cloud of feelings followed. His sour face where Franklin Apple walked, a dark cloud followed. His sour face made others feel as if bad things were in store. We haven't seen Sydney Squash in a lot. Or what's our eggplant friend's name? Picnics would be canceled for fear of rain. Let's do this. Lily P, our favorite librarian. Lily P would be setting up chicken story time. Lily P would be setting up chicken story time when Franklin would walk by. I can't believe you're going to read outdoors in this cold weather. If it rains, your books will be ruined, and you'll all get sore throats. There was only a single cloud in the sky. But somehow, the chickens all suddenly had to be somewhere else. Does Lily P always wear her aviator's helmet? I can't remember. All right, what other thing can... Pablo Pepper would be setting up his paints to begin another exciting project. Franklin would walk by and say, I'd be worried. This mural will turn out worse than your last one. I don't know how you do it. I'd be worried this mural would turn out worse than the last one. Pablo would lose his motivation, would lose his nerve, and pack up his things. Oh, poor Pablo. Yeah, I forgot how hard it is drawing Pablo. Oh, hello, it's frozen. Let me see if I can fix that. It looks like my other camera is presently frozen, meaning I can't look you in the face to say hello and talk to you. Let's see if that's something. No, I can't change that. It is interesting how I bite my lips when I draw. Let's change that so we're not stuck looking at my face. And reboot this. Interesting. That's never happened. Well, we can carry on. Except it will be different saying goodbye to you today. Oh, here we are. No, it's stuck on that image. How? Why would that be? All right. So what do we do? What do we do? Let's read back through our story and see what we have. Joe Cabbage lived in the Ginger Root apartment buildings. Apartment building. Every morning he would walk down from his room and out the front door. He would stand on the front top step, put on his hat, take a deep breath, and say to himself, "What fun things will happen today?" Next door to Joe Cabbage lived Franklin Apple. Franklin Apple would leave his apartment, walk down the stairs, put on his shoes, and say, "What terrible things are out there today?" Franklin Apple was a pessimist. Where Franklin Apple walked, a dark cloud followed. His sour face made others feel as if bad things were in store. Lily P. would be setting up chicken story time in the park when Franklin would walk by. "I can't believe you're going to read outdoors in this weather," he would say. "If it rains, your books will be ruined and you'll all get sore throats." There was only a single cloud in the sky, but somehow the chickens all suddenly had to be somewhere else. Lily was not impressed. Pablo Pepper would be... Let's change the tense. Across town, Pablo Pepper was setting up his paints to begin another exciting project. Franklin walked by and said, "I don't know how you do it. I'd be worried this mural would turn out worse than your last one." It must be real hard to make good art. Pablo would lose his nerve, pack up his things, and go home. Well... You know, it's going to bother me if I can't fix this scene. Why would that be? I'm not certain why that video is not working. All right, so we've set this up with Joe Cabbage at the start. So let's bring it back to the two friends. At the end of the day, Joe Cabbage and Franklin Apple usually met at the door another beautiful day, said Joe. I was gonna have him say says you, but that seems awfully harsh. How was your day, Franklin? Asked Joe. Same as always, muttered Franklin as he headed up the stairs. You know, there is something here. I like what we have so far, but, you know, when I was a kid, gosh, I wish I could look at you and tell you this. When I was a kid, I would watch things like shows like the Smurfs, you know, and in the Smurfs was a character named Grumpy Smurf. Let's see if I can show you an example of Grumpy Smurf. The Smurfs are, in their native language, French, called les Schtroumpfs, which means the whatchamacallits. And in this box I should have a Smurf statue, and it should be the character known as Grouchy Smurf. Let's see. Oh, well, there you go. You can see it's a very grouchy looking character. But what I was going to say about that was this. Whenever you have these stories with characters who are grumpy, I always wonder if that's such a bad thing. I mean, if he's grumpy and he's sort of is used to being grumpy, well, that's not such a bad thing, I guess, as long as he's not hurting anyone else. I mean, I don't think Franklin Apple needs to be forced to be a happy character. Except he is ruining a lot of the fun in Food City. So I'm not sure what should happen here. That night, Joe Cabbage lied in bed and thought about his neighbor. Not great, muttered Franklin as he headed up the stairs. Story time was cancelled. And I never got to ask Pablo if I could help him paint. Well, that changes everything. That night, Joe Cabbage lied in bed and thought about his neighbor. Hello and welcome to the story stream. I see we have a viewer watching. Unfortunately, my second camera decided to quit working midstream. So I can't speak to you directly, but these are my hands. I am speaking to you right now. If you have something to say, put it in the chat and I will very gladly accept your help for the story we're working on today, which is the story of Joe Cabbage and Franklin Apple. If you're interested in helping, that is. Let me try one more time to get that camera working because I would love to be able to look at you as I speak. I don't think I can get it working without restarting the stream, and I don't really want to do that, especially now that we're so close to the end. All right, that night Joe Cabbage thought about his neighbor. Franklin needs help, said Joe. What is Joe going to do? Joe has a plan, and I'm not... Suddenly, an idea hit him. What do the apartments look like again? We need to draw those apartments. It's a mess. I really do like this apartment building. I remember when I was a kid, the moon being enormous. I need to do that in my drawings more. Make the moon as big as I remember it being. The next morning, when Franklin came down the stairs, he found a package waiting for him. It read, "Don't look up." Why shouldn't he look up, I wonder? I have an idea what's up there. And maybe you do too, but I think we're going to have to get to that on Monday. For now, I'm going to wrap it up without looking at you and say thank you so much for joining me today here on the Story Stream for episode 133. I will be back on Monday for episode 134 when we find out just exactly what Joe Cabbage has in store for our new friend, Franklin Apple. So until I see you, take care and be well. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday.